Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to be a part of today's webinar on sharing our babies with others. We're going to think through how we have shared our babies with friends, family, even strangers, different techniques that we've used, different experiences we've had, sharing our babies in speech, in memories, even in experiences. So I'm just really grateful that you've chosen to be a part of this time. My name is Dr. Talitha Thomas Daniel. I'm a primary care physician, and I'm currently working as a women's health educator and an advocate. If you look at this week's schedule, you'll see that I'm hosting an art therapy session for women who've lost their babies coming up in a few days, and I'd love to see you there. So as we talk through all these things, I truly hope that this will serve as a resource for those looking for ways to share their children that are not with them physically, but are very much a part of their families. So I'd love to just start off with some introductions of each person on our panel, and whatever you would like to share about your family, including your journey through loss. So Leslie, I see you first in my screen, so if you could start us off.
Sure. Hi, I'm Leslie, and we were really grateful to be pregnant with a baby that we knew kind of early on we were expecting, and it just started out where we knew that something was not well, possibly. So it allowed for what I would call like just really quick bonding. I really prayed over and cried out for health and healing for this life, but also knew that things were tenuous. So we lost this daughter at right around 7 weeks in the pregnancy. So we were really early on, but she's very much a part of our family story. And yeah, our other children have bring her up frequently, and we remember her birthday, and have just felt like that's really important that her story continues.
Yeah, thanks so much, Leslie.
Mhm.
Mary Lou, would you introduce yourself next?
Yeah, sorry, I'm tearing here. I've just never been a part of something like this. And so, yeah, and so my name is Mary Lou. Let's see. So I've got two boys, 11 and 14. And so our pregnancy with Elle Marie was totally unexpected. We had no plans. And here comes this blessing of a baby. And when you've got two boys and you've got a girl, on the way, it's exciting and just so pleasantly surprised by that. And at about 22 weeks at our anatomy scan, we find out it's a girl, and we're told to come back the next day. And so turns out that there were some, things going on with her. And so we thought, after having two, children, we thought, we got this. This is, what we're doing, and we know the drill. And so we were very surprised when we had some issues going on. And so she passed away in my womb, and at 23, and then I could go on and on, but we had some issues with insurance, and so I had to carry her a little longer. And it was just a hard time for our family, but um we've anyway, I'm not sure if I'm too long in this, but yes. Sorry, I might need some direction on this, Talitha.
Continue. No worries.
Okay. So her name is Elle Marie. We had a name picked out from the beginning. And she is very much a part of our family, as Leslie was saying. We talk about her. We see her name on a plaque that we have. We see her name every day. She's just a part of our everyday life as far as her little legacy and her memory. Yeah, so sorry, I'm not sure if that was enough of an introduction or too much, or
It's amazing.
so
Thank you so much for
yeah.
sharing. Rachel, would you share as well?
Yeah. So I got pregnant about a year and a half ago, and that was with our first child. And we were so excited because we've been wanting a baby for some time. But within 1 week of getting a positive pregnancy test, we found out that we had miscarried. So the baby was only about 5 weeks. And Um, I think at the beginning for me, because she was so small, it was really hard to justify grief. And I felt a lot of grief, but it was in the sharing with other people and just sharing that it was hard to feel justified to grieve, and they affirming that this was life, that this is loss, and that even at an early age that she's gone. And we called her Sesame Jasmine because she was about the size of a jasmine piece of rice. But yeah, so talking to others really helped me to grieve through the process as, yeah, as she was real, and talking to others because people didn't know we were pregnant, but in sharing with others, then she is very real to us. So then having her be real to others as well.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I am so sorry for all of your losses. I also, as you all know in the panel, my first sons, my only sons, they were born at 26 weeks due to TTTS, which is twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And although we did multiple interventions, the laser ablations and whatnot were not successful. So they were born at 26 weeks, and then our son Hosea passed away at 6 days, and our son Malachi passed away at 20 days. And we now have a living child, Silive, who's about 16 months. So we too have gone through a journey of understanding how to share our sons with family, with friends, even with strangers. And then also now understanding how to share our sons with our daughter has been a really hard and beautiful journey. So I'm really looking forward to learning from you guys today. So the first question I have is just kind of general. What has your journey in sharing your babies looked like? We can talk through any tools that you might have used, any hard or beautiful experiences you've had. Leslie, would you go first?
Sure. We were expecting our daughter after 3 boys, and they were all little still. So like, I've just always felt like as soon as we know, it's time to start celebrating. So we told them that we were expecting, and they knew that the baby was sick and that we were just praying that God would heal the baby. And then when I lost her, it was like, it just felt like a bit of a whirlwind because I mean, looking back, it was just a short amount of time, but every day I was going into the doctor and getting blood work, and we're talking about her so much, and dreaming about her life. And when she passed away, I think it was for sure surreal. Like, my body still had gone through so many changes already. I was very familiar with what to expect with it being my fourth. So I think that's part of why I knew I was pregnant, even though my initial kind of finding out was bleeding. So I just could feel all those things happening, all of like the postpartumness I was experiencing, all the hormones, the physical changes in my body, I could feel happening. But one thing that we chose to do with the boys is we just talked with them about how God had taken care of our baby, and we named her Raphael, which means God heals. And we felt like if she lived and was healed in that way, that was a beautiful gift. And if the Lord allowed her to pass away, that she had a new life that was a gift also, and we needed to acknowledge that. So we talked about that with the boys, and we asked them, since we were so early on, you know, did you think this was a boy or a girl? And we kind of decided together that we would refer to her as a girl. And I think that in itself was a gift, because we had all boys, and then they had a sister. And I feel like a special thing that's happened, God's given us a daughter in our next baby, and she's 10 now, but she still talks like she has this twin sister. And to her, that is so precious that she has somebody who's hers, because our other kids are boys. And so this has been really important for her. So within our immediate family, those are some of the things that were important. I think, again, because we have always chosen to be really open about our pregnancies, our church community was really intentional to support us. Certain ones, I think, who had walked this road before were particularly able to step in, like coming over to bring a meal or flowers. I remember one friend gave me a pair of like snuggly pants to just like curl up in. So those things were super meaningful. And then I think having freedom to just say her name to people, like my family, we had told them we were expecting, we had told them about the loss, and we shared her name. And so I think that kind of opened a door within my family to talk about her, and for others to express loss that maybe they hadn't told us about, or told us a name that they had in mind. It just kind of opened the door for more free conversation about the lives that we had known and loved and then lost.
That's amazing. And I definitely have also experienced so much beauty from your family because you shared your daughter Raphael with your children have been able to embrace our children as well, which has been such a gift to me. And I think almost every time we meet the kids, they speak about Hosea and Malachi, even if I don't bring them up. It's amazing, especially coming from little kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm just really grateful for your impact in this space. Rachel, would you go next?
Yeah. So for the journey of sharing, we had told two others just because we were so excited at the beginning. So then we told them that we had lost, and I called some other close friends even that first day. And they prayed with me, were with me. A friend came the very next day and brought a meal and was just there, and she asked me about it. I think that was really helpful. Is just she asked about the details and what happened, and just helping me to process it and to be able to share to someone else. And I didn't know I really needed that, but I needed to share what that experience was to start processing, and that it was that she was real, and this loss is real. And I think having people speak truth to me, again, struggling for 5 weeks, like, was she even real? Were these hopes and dreams even real? But then when I was speaking them, they were real, and I had this grief inside. So just letting it out helped that healing process. And a couple months later, I shared with a friend, and she was like, "You are still a mom." And she turned to my husband and said, "You are still a dad." I just cried because no one had said that to me. Like, we don't have other children. So it was just, it's hard to believe, but that is true. And we were grieving her, but also the hopes and dreams we had for her and a life with her as we began imagining that even at the very beginning. But I think, like Leslie shared too, talking to others, and like I talked to my mom through it, and she had 3 miscarriages, and it's kind of the first time she actually shared about those with me, and she grieved with me and could understand with me. And even sometimes with strangers, they would ask, "Do you have any kids?" And then sometimes it was really hard to share anything, so I just said no. But sometimes I would say, "Well, I did, but we lost her." And then sometimes that opened up, even with a stranger I'd never met before. I had someone tell me that they had lost 4 in between their kids, and just start sharing these experiences that with someone I just met. So just hearing how other people had gone through some experiences, and just being able to share in that together with others, and to walk through that grief with other people.
Yeah, that's so true. I also have experienced many instances where, because I was willing to share about my sons, others have been able to share as well. And I think that's really a beautiful part of this community and journey as well. So thank you for sharing, Rachel. Mary Lou, would you share too?
Well, I have some visuals for you. So when we left the hospital, because we delivered her in we delivered her stillborn. And so they gave me this pink bear, and which, if I'm completely honest with you, I thought it was in that state of mind. I thought, this is completely insensitive. This is the dumbest thing. Why are you handing me a bear that, like, instead of walking out of a hospital with my baby, you're giving me a bear? So I was just mad, and I just kind of handed this to my husband, like, can you just take this thing? And but so it was given to me in honor of another baby that was lost, and the mother had donated bears to the hospital. And so, you know, had we had a boy, we would have gotten the blue one. And so it was in honor of this baby that was lost. And so, but I'm so grateful. And if I could meet this mom who has done this, I would just. So this is Ellie. So our daughter's name is Elmarie Tan, and so this is Ellie, and she's actually wearing, the day I found out that I was having a girl, I went down to the thrift store, you know, that I would regularly visit, and I was taking things off the rack for a baby girl. And this is one of the dresses that I had found. And but today and years after our loss, this was Ellie. Like, of course, it's not Ellie, but it was a symbol of their sister. And so my boys would fight over Ellie, like, who's sleeping with Ellie tonight, you know, and they would try and, you know, it's your turn, it's my turn, it's, you know, or she would just be around the house on the sofa, on the floor, just, and there was this memory, there was a presence of her life and her little legacy. So this was such a gift to us. Just, and if people come to our home and they see two boys, but they see a pink bear in a dress, you know, that opens up conversation and into our loss, and what a gift that was, even in the midst of loss. When we got home from the hospital, like I think Leslie had said about her church community, our church had gathered around us and brought us meal and took care of our boys and just supported us in so many ways. And we printed out this card, and that's a picture of Ellie and my husband's hand. And in the back, we just put, you know, a message just of our gratitude. And, you know, there's a little quote here that says, "No footprint is too small that it cannot leave an imprint on this world." And so, and we wrote, you know, a scripture in the back, and just really just shared our gratitude to our church family. And so this was another way of honoring her life. And then, you know, we planted a garden. We have every spring we would rush off to the hardware store, and everyone would pick a plant, and we would Ellie's garden. And it was a small garden, small little plot, but every time I looked outside my window, I would see this beautiful, colorful garden, and that would spark up conversation. And every March we celebrate her life, and we go buy a small little cake and put a candle on it, and we will pray a blessing and just a prayer of thanksgiving for her little life, you know, and what that has meant to us. Another thing is, my friend gave me this plaque. I actually had one of these made for my parents, and then one for my brother, so that they too could have one in their home. And I see her name every day. Every day I think of her, even if she slips my mind, which, you know, she does at times, but every day I see this, and just she's integrated into our lives, you know, in so many ways. And trying to think if there's anything else. Having a pendant with her initial on it, you know, just those ways of just wanting to honor her life. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, I love how you have integrated her into your life in so many different ways that is very visual even. Uh, we have tried to do similar things. In the hospital, when our sons passed away, they gave us their footprints. So I have their footprints tattooed on my arm, so that even though people can't see my sons, they can see the footprints, and they only see one baby. So clearly there's at least one more missing. And that's been a beautiful time to share about them. Although I also have experienced in sharing about them that sometimes the reception is kind of odd. Once I was, someone asked me about these tattoos, so I told them these are my son's footprints. And then the person responded with a joke that was like, it'd be so funny if I had my wife's foot on my arm, like think about how big it is, which was kind of like shocking to me, but also I understand that not everyone is equipped to respond well to loss, especially baby loss. And sometimes it's really shocking, or even horrifying, and people just feel like they need to say something. So I also acknowledge that some of the experiences are really beautiful and sometimes they're just discouraging. Um, are there any other tools or experiences that you would like to share, any of you?
I miss that we didn't have, like, we weren't really far enough along to have any mementos from her. So, and this was years ago now, but we had the kids all draw a picture. For me, like, her life was represented by, kind of like you said, Mary Lou, like the garden. So like, just like a little sprout of a tree. I don't know. I always felt like that was so representative of her, like a life that had begun and was just so small and beautiful. Like, I love that symbol. So I asked the kids if they would all draw a picture of that, like a visual of that. So I always have my kids ultrasound pictures by my bed. And so I have that picture with their little sketches. And that's always been sweet, especially because, you know, because it's been years since she passed away. We don't have anything fresh, but I can look back and just remember how in that moment, we were all feeling, you know, and sharing that together. So that's been special. And then I also had a necklace made with her name on it. And sometimes when I'm, you know, just needing her to be around, like that's what I wear. And it's just such a sweetness. So I can appreciate with a teddy bear, like that is so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
And
think-
thanks.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Judy. Yeah, I was gonna go back to the garden. I think for me, after having suffered such loss, to be able to cultivate something, you know, and I wasn't a gardener, you know, but just the need to cultivate and to nurture and to, aside from my own living children, but just to see something grow and to flourish, I think that was so therapeutic for me. And even if they die, the flowers died. And I think getting cut flowers to me was always such a sad thing. Like I even tell my husband today, like, I don't want cut flowers. Like, it's such a waste of money. They're gonna die, you know? But I would, if friends asked me, like, what can we get you? And I was like, how about a plant for Ellie's garden, you know? And so a friend of mine, my doorstep was full of plants from the hardware store, you know, beautiful, colorful plants. And to be able to see something just to take root and to live, right? Versus like, I lost my baby, I'm sad and depressed. Now I've got these dead flowers in vases and I'm gonna throw those away. And I know that might seem significant, but in the midst of loss and darkness, I don't want to see more things that are dying, you know, even if it's a bouquet of flowers, but to see a plant take root and to grow and flourish is, I think, just a really powerful thing.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you guys brought this up because on Sunday we have a Love Through Loss event, an in-person event, along with the Wave of Light. And one of the first things we're gonna do is plant trees. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to, especially because like I'm a plant killer. So it would be really sad to have a plant at home that I would kill, but in this garden, I think it'll be a beautiful space of multiple families coming together to remember their children and just like you said, to have life and growth. Um, Rachel, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, that is beautiful about the plants, right? That same week we lost our baby, we bought a jasmine plant in honor of her and to share that with others. But like, I appreciate what you said, Mary Lou, about just seeing life and just like reminder there is hope of life even after death, even for my baby, and just to see something alive. And we also made a Christmas ornament, the first Christmas, with her name on it, and could share that with our parents when they came as well. And I think even sharing loss with others and to share that with my husband. And he's like, I carried the baby, I saw the blood, but he was with that and in that too. And just like on Father's Day, wrote him a card, or we're now expect, or her very first due date, we weren't pregnant and it was a hard time. So we took a camping trip, just him and I, to go and to be in nature together. And then we did find out we're expecting with another girl. So in the next Father's Day, there's this picture, but there are two girls on there. Just a reminder that she's still with us and still will be part of our family, and need to learn how to do that, how to share her with children in the future, Lord willing. But
Amazing. Yeah, that is such a beautiful and difficult journey to walk. But I think as maybe all of us have experienced, we're really not alone in this. There are so many women and families who've experienced the same or similar things. And so I'm so grateful for you all being willing to share your experiences and what has been helpful in sharing your babies. And so, as maybe one of the last questions, I was wondering if you have any advice for anyone who wishes to start sharing their babies that have passed away. I think it definitely, as maybe all of you have experienced, it's not always easy to share your babies that have passed away. It can lead to awkward conversations, or sometimes people say insensitive things. And sometimes, even as you mentioned, Rachel, sometimes it's hard to even own the parenthood, especially if it's an early loss, or if you don't have examples around you who are willing to share. So if you have any advice to give to people wanting to share, I would love to hear it. Would you want to start? Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
I was gonna say, just like with her name, having her name where people can see it, and acknowledging her presence around others, even if it's in a very small, subtle way, so that when people come into our home, and I would definitely start with small, safe spaces, like when I met, or when I found out you, Talitha, had suffered loss. I just wanted to know, I wanted to know about your babies. I want to know all about them. Like I want to, so and in that we can both exchange our stories in a safe place. And so I think finding spaces that are safe, in which you can, maybe among mothers who have lost, so that there's a reciprocation of empathy and compassion towards each other. Then I would say yes. With some, for me, it's just easy to have a visual, a physical item that can represent them, and then perhaps that will lead into a conversation, with others.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Rachel or Leslie?
yeah, I think if you want to share, and like you said, to start with trusted people, and but also expect, like you mentioned, Talitha, to some people don't know how to respond to grief, and to even to expect hard responses, and to know the truth, have people speaking those truths to you, that you're still a mom, your baby's life is valuable, and it's okay to grieve. And I think just having those reminders of truth as you're sharing with others, and to yeah, I think even if your baby was really small, that it was alive, and that I think I needed people to help speak into that it's okay to grieve, to allow me to grieve too, to feel that I recognized her and even other people recognized her and honored her, and that was important.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had that.
I think that along these lines, sometimes we need to come to a place where we're okay welcoming people into our story, without really worried about how they'll respond. Like, this means something to me, so I want to share it with you. So like on our Remembrance Day for Raphael, I tell people who are visiting with us or staying with us that day, like, this is her day, like, everybody knows who lives here, so you should know too, but I think doing things to welcome people in, and maybe at the beginning, it's just like those most trusted people. And maybe another way we can do this is, like, for me with my husband, if I'm thinking about Raphael a lot or feeling grief again, just to bring him into that, like, I'm really thinking about Raphael today, like, this has been a hard moment, and just welcoming somebody to be with me in that, I think is important, because otherwise we can so easily bear that alone. And I think the truth about grief is that it's gonna come back around, like, and we need to acknowledge that and welcome others to be with us in that. So it might start small with who we can talk to about our child, but we can grow as we welcome people in.
Yeah, I totally agree with well, with everything you're saying. I was also thinking in lines with starting small. I found that often children, because they're not jaded by the world, or they don't have a good filter, they're really easy to share with about even your children that passed away, which seems like maybe children won't be able to handle death, but they actually often can. Just even this past week, we had some kids over, and we have pillows in our house that have the names of everyone in our family. So the first pillow that this little boy saw said Nathaniel, Talitha, Hosea, Malachi. And then the second one had Sylve's name in it as well. And he was like, where are they? And so then I just briefly shared, and then he just went on like, oh, there's a progression. That's so cool. And it didn't faze him that like some of our family have passed away. And that was just really beautiful to me, that it wasn't like a horrible, awkward situation, but that we could just talk about our family all together. So yeah, finding those spaces, finding those people that will willingly receive, I think is definitely so important. Thank you all so much for being willing to be a part of today. I'm so grateful that you were willing to share, and I really hope that this will be helpful to many women and families to come. This session will be recorded and posted on the Love Through Loss support website, so I hope that it really will be used. And I hope to see you all on Sunday for the in-person event if possible, or even on Tuesday for the art therapy event. And furthermore, also anyone watching, if you ever need someone to speak about your babies with, you are definitely welcome to reach out to me or any of the Love Through Loss support team. I'm assuming that any of these women as well would be willing to come alongside you. So if you even want to reach out to them, I can definitely help you with that as well. Thank you so much, ladies.